Emma Rodriguez sat on the threadbare carpet of her studio apartment at 2 a.m., cradling her crying daughter Lily against her chest. The refrigerator is empty. The last jar of baby food sat open on the counter, scraped clean hours ago. She'd tried everything, rocking, singing, pacing the tiny space until her legs ached. Nothing worked. Lily was hungry, and Emma had nothing left to give her. The eviction notice was taped to the door. The utilities would be shut off by Friday. Her phone, miraculously still connected, was down to 8% battery. Emma stared at it through tears, thumb hovering over her sister Maria's contact. She'd already borrowed money twice this month. Maria had her own bills, her own problems. But Lily's cries were getting weaker, more desperate, and that terrified Emma more than anything else. With shaking hands, she typed, "Maria, please. I need $50 for baby food. Lily's been crying for hours. I get paid Monday. I swear I'll pay you back." She hit send before she could second-guess herself, before shame could stop her, before she could remember that there were 20 other things she should be ashamed of first. The response came faster than expected. "I think you have the wrong number." Emma's stomach dropped. She looked at the screen, horror washing over her. One digit off. One stupid, careless mistake. She'd texted a complete stranger her desperation, her failure, her inability to feed her own child. "I'm so sorry," she typed frantically. "Please ignore that. Wrong number. I'm sorry." She set the phone down, pressed her forehead against Lily's soft hair, and let herself break. Just for a moment. Just until she could pull herself together and figure out what came next. The phone buzzed. "Is your baby safe?" Emma stared at the message. What kind of stranger asks that? Her first instinct was to block the number and pretend this humiliation never happened. But something about the question, the directness of it, the genuine concern in those 4 simple words, made her pause. "We'll manage," she typed back. "Sorry again for bothering you." Another buzz. "How much do you need?" Emma's throat tightened. This felt like a trap. People didn't just help strangers. But Lily whimpered against her shoulder, and Emma was so tired of being strong, so tired of pretending she had this under control. "I only need $50, just until Monday." "What's your payment app?" Emma hesitated for a long moment, then typed her Venmo handle. She expected nothing. Maybe $20 if this person was feeling charitable. Maybe another lecture about financial responsibility from someone who'd never had to choose between electricity and food. Her phone buzzed with a notification. $5,000 received from Alexander Sterling. Emma's hands went numb. She refreshed the app. Still there, $5,000. Not 50. 5,000. "This is too much," she typed, fingers trembling so badly she had to retype it twice. "I only need $50. There must be a mistake." "No mistake. Take care of your daughter." Emma looked at Lily, finally quiet against her chest, exhausted from crying. Then back at her phone. At the number that shouldn't exist in her account. At the message from a stranger who just changed everything. And for the first time in months, Emma Rodriguez let herself cry. Not from desperation, but from something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. Emma couldn't sleep. Even after Lily finally drifted off, belly full from the organic baby food Emma had splurged on with a fraction of the money, she lay awake staring at her phone. The name glowed in the darkness. Alexander Sterling. She opened her laptop, the one with the cracked screen she'd been using since college, and typed his name into the search bar. The results loaded slowly, but when they did, her breath caught. Alexander Sterling, CEO of Sterling Global Hospitality. Net worth, $12.3 billion. The articles called him a self-made empire builder and notoriously private. There were only a handful of photos. Him leaving a Senate hearing in a perfectly tailored suit, shaking hands with a foreign dignitary, walking out of his flagship hotel with eyes that looked right through the camera. He was younger than she expected, maybe late 30s, with dark hair and a jawline that belonged on a movie screen. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Even in grainy photos, they looked tired. lonely. This man had sent her $5,000. This man, who owned hotels in 15 countries, who had more money than she could comprehend, had responded to her desperate midnight text with immediate help. Why? The next morning, her building's buzzer shocked her awake. Emma stumbled to the intercom, Lily balanced on her hip. Yes? Delivery for Emma Rodriguez. She wasn't expecting anything. She opened the door to find two delivery men and a dolly stacked with boxes. Premium baby food, formula, diapers in every size, clothes with tags still attached. Soft blankets, toys, months of supplies, maybe a year's worth. Emma stood frozen as they brought everything inside, her tiny studio suddenly overflowing with more than she'd been able to give Lily in her entire short life. At the bottom of the last box was a note, handwritten on expensive cardstock. Every child deserves to have what they need. A.S. Her phone buzzed. Did everything arrive okay? Emma sank onto her mattress, surrounded by abundance she hadn't earned, hadn't asked for. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. The response took longer this time. When it came, it was measured. Maybe that's exactly why. I don't understand. People who know me want something. You didn't. You just needed help. Emma stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I don't take charity. It's not charity, it's insurance. Against the world being as cruel as it sometimes feels. Something in those words cracked through her defenses. She typed before she could stop herself. That sounds like experience talking. Another long pause. Then, I know what it's like to fail someone who needed you. Emma looked at Lily, asleep in her arms, finally peaceful. She thought about the eviction notice, the empty refrigerator, the nights of watered-down formula and rationed baby food. She thought about pride and shame and the difference between the two. I want to pay you back, she typed. You will, just not with money. Then how? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Despite everything, the strangeness of it all, the impossibility, Emma found herself smiling. That's not exactly reassuring. Would you believe me if I said I was making this up as I go? A billionaire who doesn't have a plan? A person who's trying to do something right for once. Emma pulled Lily closer, breathing in that sweet baby smell, feeling the weight of possibility pressing against her chest. This was crazy. This was dangerous. This was everything she'd told herself not to trust. But it was also the first time in a year that she didn't feel completely alone. Thank you, she typed, for seeing us. The response came quickly this time, and somehow Emma knew he'd been waiting to hear exactly that. Thank you for letting me. The text came 3 days later, just as Emma was starting to believe the strange kindness might fade into nothing more than a surreal memory. I have a proposal for you. Can we meet? Emma stared at her phone, heart hammering. This was it. The moment where the fairy tale revealed its price tag. What kind of proposal? The kind better discussed in person. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Sterling Grand downtown. Just bring Lily, I'll handle the rest. She almost said no. Almost blocked the number and returned to her familiar struggle, where at least she knew the rules. But rent was due in 10 days, and her bank account, even with most of his money carefully untouched, wouldn't cover it. Emma dressed in her only professional outfit, a thrift store blazer that didn't quite match her pants. She strapped Lily into the carrier against her chest and took 2 buses downtown, stepping off into a world that didn't belong to her. The Sterling Grand rose 40 stories above the street, all glass and steel and understated wealth. The lobby alone was bigger than her entire apartment building. Emma's reflection in the polished marble looked small, out of place, exactly like the imposter she felt like. Ms. Rodriguez? A woman in an elegant suit approached with a warm smile. Mr. Sterling is expecting you. I'll take you up. The private elevator opened directly into a penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Emma had never seen anything like it. The skyline stretched out like a promise, vast and glittering and completely foreign. Alexander Sterling stood by the windows, phone to his ear. In person, he was taller than his photos suggested, wearing a dark suit that probably cost more than her car had before it was repossessed. When he turned and saw her, something in his expression softened. "I'll call you back," he said into the phone, then crossed the room with an outstretched hand. "Emma, thank you for coming." His handshake was firm, but not aggressive. His eyes, the same tired, lonely eyes from the photos, held hers with unexpected gentleness. "I don't understand what I'm doing here," Emma said, proud that her voice didn't shake. "I'm offering you a job. Operations management, Sterling Global flagship location, flexible hours, full benefits, competitive salary." He named a figure that made Emma's knees weak. "Why?" The word came out sharper than intended. "You don't know anything about me. I dropped out of hospitality management. I haven't worked in over a year. I have a baby and no childcare, and you have a degree in exactly what I need." Alexander interrupted quietly. "You're observant. I saw that in your messages. You're resourceful, and you're someone who keeps fighting even when the world keeps pushing you down." He paused. "That's the kind of person I want on my team." "This is insane." "Probably." A hint of a smile. "But before you decide, let me show you something." He led her down one floor to a space she hadn't expected. A fully equipped childcare center with soft lighting, age-appropriate toys, and 2 qualified attendants. "For employees," Alexander explained. "Lily would be right downstairs while you work." Emma felt something crack in her chest. "I can't afford—" "Subsidized through the company. 75% covered." He handed her a folder. "There's also employee housing available. Studio apartment, 3 blocks away. Reasonable rent deducted from payroll." Emma opened the folder with shaking hands. This wasn't just a job offer. This was a life raft. This was everything she'd needed and been too proud to ask for. "Why me?" she whispered. Alexander was quiet for a long moment, staring out at his empire. "Because I built all of this." He gestured to the windows, the city, the wealth. "And I still failed the people who mattered most. I'm not saving you, Emma. I'm betting on you. There's a difference." Emma looked at Lily, asleep against her chest. She thought about the eviction notice, the empty refrigerator, the weight of trying to survive alone. She thought about pride and pragmatism, and the terrifying possibility of hope. "When do I start?" Alexander's smile was small but genuine. "Monday, if you're ready." Emma took a deep breath. "I'm ready." Emma's first day at Sterling Global felt like stepping into someone else's life. The employee apartment Alexander had arranged was small but clean, with actual working appliances and water pressure that didn't sputter. Lily's room, her own room, had a crib that didn't wobble and blackout curtains that actually blocked light. Emma had spent her first night there crying quietly into her pillow, overwhelmed by the simple mercy of feeling safe. The hotel's operations management department occupied the entire 15th floor. Emma arrived early, Lily freshly fed, and dropped at the childcare center, where the attendants had greeted them both by name. Her supervisor, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia, handed her a tablet and a security badge without fanfare. "You'll shadow me this week," Patricia said. "Learn our systems, meet the department heads, figure out how we keep 1,500 rooms running smoothly." Emma absorbed everything like she was starving for it. Conference room bookings, housekeeping schedules, vendor contracts, staffing rotations. Within 3 days, she'd noticed inefficiencies that had been overlooked for months. Overlapping shift schedules that cost overtime, supply orders that consistently ran over budget, maintenance requests that fell through departmental cracks. "You have a good eye," Patricia commented on Thursday, reviewing Emma's notes. "Most people take weeks to see patterns like this." Emma shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "I just notice things." By Friday, Patricia had given her independent access to the employee management system. Emma was reviewing the International Events Division when something caught her attention. She cross-referenced the staffing roster for a conference scheduled for next month against the employee database. 3 names appeared on the event roster that didn't exist in the main system. No employee files, no tax documents, no emergency contacts. Ghost employees. She checked another event. Same pattern. 4 more names that appeared on staffing lists, but nowhere else. Emma's stomach tightened with a familiar instinct, the same one that had helped her ace forensic accounting before she'd had to drop out. Something was wrong. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, encrypted through the company's secure system. If you see anything that doesn't feel right, tell only me. Not Patricia, not HR, just me. A.S. Emma stared at the message, pulse quickening. Alexander had known she'd find something. He'd been waiting for it. She glanced around the office. Patricia was in a meeting. The other analysts were focused on their screens. No one was watching her. But suddenly, Emma felt exposed. Vulnerable. She typed back. Ghost employees in the events division. Names on rosters that don't exist in the system. The response came quickly. How many? At least 7, maybe more. Can you document it without raising flags? Emma's hands hovered over the keyboard. This wasn't what she'd signed up for. This was supposed to be her fresh start, her chance to rebuild, not whatever this was. But she thought about Alexander's tired eyes, his quiet admission about failing people who needed him. She thought about the job he'd given her when no one else would, the apartment, the childcare, the bet he'd placed on her worth. Yes, she typed. I can be careful. Good. We'll talk tonight, after hours, my office. Emma locked her screen and sat back, heart pounding. She'd been at Sterling Global for exactly 5 days, and already she was in over her head. She checked on Lily during lunch, watching through the observation window as her daughter played with blocks, happy and fed and safe. Whatever was happening here, whatever Alexander needed her help uncovering, Emma couldn't walk away now. Not when she finally had something worth protecting. She returned to her desk and started building a file, careful and methodical, documenting every discrepancy she could find. By the time the office emptied at 6, Emma had 17 ghost employees identified across 4 international conferences, and the terrifying certainty that someone at Sterling Global was hiding something big. Emma arrived at Alexander's office at 7:30 when the executive floor was dark and silent. He was standing by the windows again, silhouetted against the glowing city, and didn't turn when she entered. Show me what you found, he said quietly. Emma connected her tablet to his display screen. The ghost employees appeared in neat columns, names, dates, event assignments. 17 so far, but I think there are more. They're always assigned to international conferences, large events with multiple rooms blocked under corporate accounts. Alexander moved closer, studying the data with an intensity that made Emma's pulse quicken. Go on. The pattern is specific. High-end conferences, medical, technology, finance. Room blocks reserved under shell company names. The ghost employees appear on staffing rosters for 2, maybe 3 days. Then vanish. No payroll records, no time cards, nothing. Which events? Emma pulled up the calendar. Global Med Summit in March. International Tech Expo in May. The Finance Innovation Conference next month. She paused. All approved and coordinated through the same executive office. Whose? Marcus Blackwell, VP of Operations. Alexander's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He was silent for a long moment, and Emma watched something shift behind his eyes, confirmation of a suspicion he'd clearly been harboring. Marcus has been with the company for 3 years, Alexander finally said. He came highly recommended, excellent credentials, turned around our international division almost overnight. He turned to face her. I've suspected something was wrong for the past 6 months. Revenue inconsistencies, unusual room utilization patterns. But every time I pushed for answers, everything checked out on paper. Because whoever's doing this knows your systems inside and out. Exactly. Alexander crossed his arms, a defensive posture that looked unnatural on him. I couldn't bring in outside auditors without tipping my hand, couldn't trust my own executives, didn't know how deep this went. I needed someone with fresh eyes, someone with no loyalties to protect. Emma felt the weight of what he was admitting. So when I texted you, you were desperate and honest. Two things I haven't encountered much lately. He met her gaze directly. I meant what I said about betting on you, but I also needed someone I could trust. You don't even know me. I know you're not on anyone's payroll but mine. I know you have everything to lose if this company goes down, and I know you see things other people miss. Alexander moved to his desk, pulled out a locked drawer, and retrieved a thick file. I've been documenting irregularities for months, but it's all circumstantial. Nothing that would hold up under scrutiny. Emma took the file, flipped through pages of notes, printed emails, financial records with highlighted discrepancies. Her hands trembled slightly. What do you think is really happening here? Alexander's expression darkened. I think someone is using my hotels to move people who don't want to be found, or who don't want to be moved. The implications hit Emma like ice water. Human trafficking. I can't prove it yet, but these ghost employees, the shell companies, the international conferences, it's all infrastructure for something organized, something calculated. He looked at her with invulnerability that made him seem suddenly human, suddenly fallible. I've lost the ability to tell who's loyal anymore. Everyone around me has something to gain or hide. Emma thought about Lily downstairs, safe in the childcare center Alexander had built. She thought about the apartment, the job, the life he'd handed her when she had nothing. She thought about what it meant that he was trusting her with this, not because she was qualified, but because she had no reason to betray him. Then let me be your eyes, she said. Alexander studied her for a long moment. This could get dangerous. If Marcus realizes we're investigating. I've been in danger before, Emma interrupted. The kind where you don't know how you'll feed your child or where you'll sleep. This, she gestured to the file. This is danger I can actually do something about. Something shifted in Alexander's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. We do this carefully, document everything, trust no one except each other. Agreed. And Emma. He stepped closer. If at any point this feels like too much. It won't. She held his gaze. You gave me a chance when I had nothing. Let me earn it. Alexander nodded slowly. Then we start with Marcus. Find the connection between him and these shell companies. Find out who else is involved, and find out what they're really using my hotels for. Emma clutched the file to her chest, feeling the weight of what she was stepping into. This was bigger than a job now. This was justice. This was purpose. This was partnership. The FBI agent looked nothing like Emma expected. Special Agent Torres was a petite woman in her 40s, with kind eyes and a handshake that could crack walnuts. She met them in Alexander's office at midnight, arriving through the service entrance with practiced discretion. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Rodriguez. Torres spread files across the conference table. I've been investigating Sterling Global for 8 months. We've suspected human trafficking operating through your international conference division, but we haven't been able to penetrate the operation. Alexander's face remained carefully neutral. What do you need from us? Evidence. Access. Someone on the inside who can document the next event in real time. Torres looked at Emma. Mr. Sterling tells me you've identified the pattern. That makes you our best asset. Emma's mouth went dry. I'm not an investigator. I'm just... You're someone they don't know is watching, Torres interrupted gently. That's more valuable than any badge. They talked until 2 a.m., building a strategy. Emma would continue documenting, would attend the upcoming Finance Innovation Conference as part of the operations team. Torres would have agents positioned as hotel guests. They just needed proof. Photographs, recordings, anything concrete. Emma left feeling simultaneously empowered and terrified. She should have noticed she was being followed. It started small. A colleague she didn't recognize in the break room, watching her too long. Her desk drawers slightly rearranged, the feeling of eyes tracking her through the 15th floor windows. By Wednesday, Emma was certain someone was surveilling her. Thursday afternoon, Marcus Blackwell appeared at her desk. He was exactly as his personnel file suggested. Mid-40s, expensively dressed, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Emma Rodriguez. I've been hearing good things about your work. Emma's heart hammered. Thank you, sir. Walk with me. It wasn't a request. Marcus led her to an empty conference room, closed the door, and leaned against the table with studied casualness. You've been spending a lot of time reviewing employee records. Late nights? Private meetings with Mr. Sterling? He tilted his head. Ambitious. I respect that. I'm just doing my job. Of course. His smile sharpened. You have a daughter, don't you? Lily. Beautiful name. She's downstairs right now in childcare. Ice flooded Emma's veins. What? Children need stable homes, Emma. Consistent care. It would be terrible if something disrupted that stability. Marcus straightened his tie. I'm just saying, sometimes curiosity can be dangerous, especially for single mothers with everything to lose. He left before Emma could respond, the door clicking shut with finality. She made it to the bathroom before her hands started shaking. This wasn't theoretical anymore. Marcus knew. He was threatening her daughter. Emma pulled out her phone with trembling fingers, texted Alexander. He knows? The response came instantly. My office, now. Alexander was pacing when she arrived, fury radiating from every movement. He threatened Lily? Not directly, but the message was clear. Emma sank into a chair. Alexander, I can't, if he goes after my daughter. He won't get the chance. Alexander pulled up his computer, face grim. I've been monitoring the financial system. Look. Emma moved beside him. On screen were transfer records, flagged by the company's internal audit system. Transfers that appeared to move money from Sterling Global accounts into personal offshore holdings. Her stomach dropped when she saw the authorization signatures. Alexander Sterling. Emma Rodriguez. That's not, I know, it's fabricated, planted. Alexander's jaw clenched. Marcus is building a case against us. Make it look like we're the ones embezzling, using the investigation as cover. If he gets ahead of this, we're finished. Emma stared at the false evidence, mind racing. He's going to try to take everything from both of us. Yes, which means we can't wait. Alexander pulled out his phone. Torres needs to move up the timeline. The conference is in 10 days. We run the operation then, document everything, and bring Marcus down before he destroys us first. And if it doesn't work? Alexander met her eyes. Then we both lose everything. Your daughter, my company, any chance at stopping what he's doing. Emma thought about Lily's laugh, her tiny hands, the life they were finally building. She thought about the victims being moved through these hotels like cargo. She thought about Marcus's smile and his veiled threats. Then we make sure it works, she said quietly. Alexander nodded. Torres is positioning her team. You'll wear a wire during the conference. Document the handoffs, the fake employees, everything. Get Marcus on record. He'll be watching me. I know. Which is why you need to be perfect. Alexander's expression softened slightly. Emma, if this feels like too much, it's already too much, Emma interrupted. But we're past the point of backing out. He threatened my daughter. He's trafficking people, and he's trying to frame us for his crimes. She stood. I'm not running. I'm fighting. The FBI safe house was a nondescript apartment in a building that looked like every other building in the neighborhood. Agent Torres handed Emma the key with apologetic efficiency. Just until after the conference. We can't risk Marcus making a move against you or Lily before we're ready. Emma carried Lily inside, her daughter's confused whimpering breaking her heart. This was supposed to be their fresh start, the apartment Alexander had provided, the stability they'd finally found. Now they were hiding again, running from a different kind of danger. Mama! Lily reached for Emma's face, sensing her distress. We're okay, baby, Emma whispered, hoping it was true. Torres arrived an hour later with Alexander and two other agents. They spread blueprints of the Sterling Grand across the dining table. Conference halls, service corridors, security camera blind spots marked in red. The Finance Innovation Conference starts Friday, Torres said. We've confirmed 3 shell companies have booked room blocks. Based on the pattern, we expect the trafficking operation to occur Saturday night, during the main gala when security is focused on the event. Alexander pointed to the service elevators. These access the private floors. If they're moving people, it'll be through here. Emma, you'll be assigned to operations oversight for the conference, Torres continued. You'll wear a wire, document everything you see. If Marcus or his associates discuss the operation, we need it on record. Emma nodded, trying to ignore the fear coiling in her stomach. What if he searches me? What if... Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered hesitantly. Hello? Ms. Rodriguez, this is Jennifer Atkins from Child Protective Services. We've received a report regarding your daughter's welfare and living situation. We need to schedule a home visit and custody evaluation. Emma's vision blurred. What? There must be a mistake. An anonymous tip was filed yesterday, citing concerns about your employment situation, housing instability, and potential involvement in illegal activities. We take all reports seriously. Can you come to our office Monday at 9 a.m.? Emma's hand shook so badly, Alexander took the phone from her, speaking in calm, measured tones. When he hung up, his face was carved from stone. Marcus filed the report, he said. It's all there. Claims you're unstable, possibly involved in criminal activity, using your child as cover. He's going to take her. Emma's voice cracked. He's going to take Lily away from me. No. Alexander knelt in front of her chair, forcing her to meet his eyes. He's not. I won't let him destroy you. Whatever it takes, Emma. We stop him first. Torres leaned forward. The custody hearing is Monday. The conference is Friday through Sunday. If we get the evidence we need and arrest Marcus this weekend, there won't be a case against you. The charges will be exposed as retaliation. And if we don't? Emma whispered. No one answered. Emma looked at Lily, playing with her blocks on the carpet, oblivious to how her world hung in the balance. She thought about every choice that had led here. The wrong number text, the job offer, the investigation. She thought about running versus fighting, about what it meant to protect your child by putting yourself in danger. The wire, Emma said quietly. Show me how it works. Torres pulled out a device smaller than Emma expected, practically invisible when worn correctly. It's voice-activated, records everything within 15 feet. Just act natural, do your job, and if you see anything suspicious, document it. Don't take unnecessary risks. Marcus threatened my daughter, Emma said, voice steady now. He's using Alexander's hotels to traffic people. He's framing us for his crimes. She looked at Alexander, then Torres. I'm not interested in being careful anymore. I'm interested in ending this. Alexander's expression shifted. Concern mixed with something else. Pride, maybe. We do this together. You're not alone in there. I'll have agents positioned throughout the hotel, Torres added. But Emma, you're our eyes on the inside. If something feels wrong, if Marcus suspects anything, you signal us and we extract you immediately. Emma tested the wire, feeling its weight against her skin. Such a small thing to carry so much consequence. Friday, she said. We end this Friday. Alexander stood, moved to the window overlooking the anonymous street. He's going to fight back. When he realizes what's happening, he'll do everything he can to escape or destroy the evidence. Then we'll be ready. Emma picked up Lily, held her close. I've spent a year being afraid. Afraid I couldn't feed my baby, couldn't keep a roof over our heads, couldn't survive. I'm done being afraid of men who think they can take everything from people who have nothing left to lose. Torres smiled grimly. Then let's make sure Marcus Blackwell learns what happens when he underestimates a mother protecting her child. The Finance Innovation Conference transformed the Sterling Grand into controlled chaos. 500 guests, 3 floors of programming, and Emma Rodriguez at the center of it all, with a wire pressed against her ribs like a secret heartbeat. She moved through the operations command center with practiced efficiency, tablet in hand, monitoring room assignments and staff rotations. The ghost employees were already there, names on her screen that corresponded to no actual faces. Emma documented each one, her wire capturing every detail. Marcus appeared at noon, impeccable in a charcoal suit, surveying his domain with proprietorial satisfaction. Emma's pulse spiked when his gaze landed on her. Ms. Rodriguez, everything running smoothly? Perfectly, sir. Emma kept her voice steady, professional. Excellent. Marcus moved closer, lowering his voice. Though I'm surprised to see you here. I thought perhaps you'd be otherwise occupied. Custody hearings can be so time-consuming. Emma's fingers tightened on her tablet. Monday's hearing will go fine. Will it? Marcus's smile was surgical. Anonymous tips can be so damaging, especially when they're detailed. Accurate. He paused. Tragic, really, when ambitious people overreach and lose everything. Emma forced herself to meet his eyes. Is that a threat, Mr. Blackwell? It's a reality check. He glanced at his watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have guests arriving on the executive floor. Private meetings, very confidential. He walked away, and Emma's hands shook as she keyed her radio. Torres, he's moving. Executive floor, private meetings tonight. The response crackled in her earpiece. Copy, stay in position, document everything. Evening descended. The gala filled the grand ballroom with music and champagne, and people who had no idea what was happening 3 floors above them. Emma monitored the service elevators, watching as Marcus's private guests arrived. Men in expensive suits, women who looked too young and too scared, handlers who moved them like merchandise. Emma's wire captured it all. The quiet transactions, the room numbers, the fear in those young faces. At 9:15, Marcus found her in the empty operations office. You're very dedicated, he said, closing the door behind him. Working late, taking such detailed notes. He stepped closer. You're also wearing a wire, and there are federal agents positioned throughout my hotel. Emma's blood turned to ice. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Marcus's facade cracked, revealing something cold underneath. The FBI agent posing as a hedge fund manager, the surveillance van across the street, Alexander's sudden interest in operational details. He laughed bitterly. I've been running this operation for 3 years. You've been here 3 weeks. And you thought you could stop me? You're trafficking people, Emma said, voice shaking but clear. Using Alexander's hotels to... I'm providing services to clients who pay premium rates. What happens to those services after they leave my hotels isn't my concern. Marcus pulled out his phone. But what will be your concern is the custody hearing Monday, when CPS discovers evidence of your drug use, your neglect. FBI, hands where we can see them! The door exploded inward. Torres and 6 agents flooded the room, weapons drawn. Marcus lunged for the window, but Alexander appeared in the doorway, blocking his escape. It's over, Marcus, Alexander said quietly. The hotel erupted. Agents swept through the executive floors, extracting victims from rooms, handcuffing Marcus's associates as they tried to flee. Emma stood frozen, watching 3 years of trafficking operations collapse in minutes. Torres led Marcus away in handcuffs, reading him his rights while he screamed about lawyers and false arrest. Through the windows, Emma saw news vans arriving, cameras capturing federal agents, escorting shell-shocked victims to safety. 47, Torres told Emma afterward, her voice thick with emotion. 47 victims recovered tonight. Because you documented everything. Because you didn't run when he threatened your daughter. The media found Emma at midnight. Cameras and questions, and suddenly her face was everywhere. The single mother who'd exposed an international trafficking ring, the whistleblower who'd risked everything for justice. Alexander found her on the roof, where she'd escaped to breathe. You did it, he said softly. Emma stared at the city lights, thinking about Lily, safe in the FBI apartment, about the 47 people who were free because she'd been brave. We did it. No. Alexander stepped beside her. This was you, Emma. Your courage, Your eyes. Your refusal to look away. Below them, justice was being served. Above them, stars emerged through city smog. And for the first time since that desperate midnight text, Emma Rodriguez felt like she'd earned her place in this impossible new world. The custody hearing lasted 17 minutes. The caseworker apologized 3 times, explaining that given Ms. Rodriguez's instrumental role in exposing a federal trafficking operation and the clear evidence that the anonymous tip had been filed by the criminal she'd helped arrest, there was absolutely no case to pursue. Emma walked out of the courthouse with Lily on her hip and tears streaming down her face. But this time, they were tears of relief. Marcus Blackwell faced 43 federal charges. The news ran his perp walk on repeat. The trafficking victims, 47 people from 12 countries, were receiving support, medical care, and pathways to freedom. 3 of Marcus's associates had been arrested. 2 shell companies had been dissolved. And Sterling Global's name, initially tarnished, was being rebuilt on the foundation of transparency Emma had helped establish. Alexander offered her the promotion in his office 3 weeks after the raid, sunset painting the city gold through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Director of Security and Compliance, he said, sliding a contract across his desk. Full autonomy, build your own team. Set your own protocols, make sure nothing like this ever happens again. Emma stared at the salary line, at the title that meant something, at the chance to turn her accidental heroism into lasting change. This is too much. It's what you earned. Alexander's expression was sincere. You didn't just save my company, Emma. You saved lives. Let me give you the platform to keep doing it. The board meeting was different from anything Emma had imagined. She stood at the head of the conference table in a suit that actually fit, presenting the new employee protection framework she'd designed: verification protocols, anonymous reporting systems, mandatory audits, partnerships with international anti-trafficking organizations. This is comprehensive, one board member noted. It'll slow operations, increase costs, and save lives, Emma interrupted firmly. Sterling Global's reputation isn't built on speed or profit margins. It's built on integrity. This framework ensures we never become complicit in exploitation again. The board voted unanimously to implement her protocols. That evening, Emma found Alexander on the hotel rooftop at sunset, the same place she'd stood the night of the raid. Lily toddled beside her, chasing pigeons with delighted squeals. You were right, Alexander said as Emma joined him at the railing. About everything. About me needing someone I could trust. About betting on people instead of saving them. You gave me a chance when I had nothing, Emma replied softly. No, you always had everything that mattered. Courage, integrity, the fierce determination to protect what you love. He turned to face her. My ex-wife left because I never learned to put people first. I built this empire and forgot why it mattered. I was successful and completely alone. Lily abandoned the pigeons and wrapped her arms around Alexander's leg, looking up at him with trusting eyes. Alexander's voice grew quieter. You and Lily, you've taught me what actually matters. That success means nothing without connection. That wealth is worthless if you can't share it with people who make you remember what it's like to be human. He paused. I don't want to be your employer anymore, Emma. I don't want to be your mentor or your benefactor. Emma's heart hammered. What do you want to be? Your family, if you'll have me. His eyes held hers, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. If you'll let me try to be what you both deserve. Emma smiled, tears threatening. Ask me properly. Alexander's eyebrows rose, then understanding dawned. He knelt down, not to Emma, but to Lily's level, meeting the toddler's curious gaze. Lily, he said gently, may I be part of your family? May I be someone who shows up for you, who protects you, who loves your mama the way she deserves? Lily giggled and reached for his face with sticky hands, babbling something that sounded like agreement. Alexander looked up at Emma, still kneeling, still holding her daughter's tiny hands. Emma Rodriguez, I'm not offering you a fairy tale or a rescue. I'm offering you partnership, equality, a life we build together, where your strength and my resources create something neither of us could make alone. Will you take a chance on this broken billionaire who learned about love from a wrong number text? Emma pulled him to his feet, Lily between them, and kissed him with the kind of certainty that comes from choosing someone not because you need them to save you, but because you want them beside you in the life you fought so hard to build. Yes, she whispered against his lips. We'll take that chance. Below them, the city glittered with possibility. Above them, stars emerged like promises. And between them, a little girl laughed. Finally home. Thank you for staying with Emma and Alexander until the very end of this incredible journey. If their story of courage, redemption, and unexpected love moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We have more powerful stories coming, tales of ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, finding strength they never knew they had, and love they never expected to find. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe now, and let's continue discovering that sometimes the wrong number leads you exactly where you're meant to be.